All right, welcome back, everyone. Like I said, we were going to have a final reveal episode, and I thought what a better way to start this episode than kind of to show you where we got a lot of inspiration. So it didn't hurt because they had already had a pond here, and it was an outdated pond, but man, they built it right when they did build it 25 years ago. And over the years, we've gotten better with our techniques. It wasn't a pond we had built, but as an industry, we've all gotten a lot better with different techniques and technologies. And we thought we really wanted to make this easier for you to care for, but then while we were here, we thought, what can we do to enhance the space at the same time? And so we were sitting in their kitchen table, looking out at the area, looking at their old pond, and I thought, you know, this is missing one vital view. And that's where we got the that's where I had the idea for the bubbling spheres combo, because they were telling us about their grandkids, and I thought, you know, you've already got a really cool pool, but what would be something to really enhance the space other than something that's interactive for the grandkids to play in? And I thought, what a cool idea to make a set of spheres as like a splash pad. And so when we come down here, we start walking into the pond, and this staircase was already here, and I thought, man, it would be really cool if you could walk down this staircase and then walk yourself over to a spot to sit and look in at the pond. And Justin found a vendor for lilies, and the lilies are doing really well. He just recently moved them to the deeper area, but they're really popping. The water's nice and clear. They've got goldfish in here. I know they're going to be adding koi soon, but you can see a ton of goldfish, and I do see a couple koi in there. One of the things that I really love about this project is just our rock work as a team. Access was a challenge, right? We were doing what we could to not tear up the whole entire yard, so we built this from the intake bay out, and then we did our bubbling sphere area, and then we worked our way up the waterfall and finally worked on that wetland filter. There are so many things that jump out at me that get me excited, that are totally something that really resonates with me. These huge boulders, I love when we get to come in with a rental machine and have these just gigantic boulders that have confidence when you walk on them. And if you remember from the episodes of us building, that boulder was right on the limit of so that rental machine could handle. But we got some really cool rock work happening to make this pond feel a little more ornate. And then we got some cool standing spots. You know, this is a cool spot you could sit, put your feet in, you can jump across into this big boulder. And then we got another really cool big boulder that you can sit, put your feet in, and it just invites you to come play in that sphere area. And then the bubbling spheres. Aren't those awesome? I love when we can incorporate any kind of these fountain features into our ponds, because what they do is they let us have water hitting your eye at such a level that you don't have to do that crazy buildup, because we'll talk about buildup as we get to where the waterfall starts. But look at that, 3 different sizes, all doing something different, and we're probably gonna have to let this plane pass by real quick here. But I love these spheres because what we do is we customize them. We come in with 1.5-inch plumbing, and we really get them so that they're dancing. Like that water is just hopping around, and each one has a different feel to it because of the different sizes, right? We've got our small, medium, and large, and if you're looking at this and you're like, I really like that, but I want something even bigger, they make an extra large that is just huge. But this was the perfect spot for this to go because they have a pool deck already up there. They've got a swing set with a little fireplace, so it's just got this perfect combination of fire and water. And when you're sitting at that swing, you've got a perfect view at a little waterfall that teases you. And then you also get to see these spheres. And the spheres just are fun for me. Like, not only are they fun to look at during the day, but at night, there's just something really magical about having the water hitting those from underneath where the water's splashing, but also where the water's coming out. We have lights coming in each one of those, so it kind of has this feeling like there's a fire on top of those. And one of my absolute favorite things about looking at a water feature is when you get a chance to look at it at night, because this whole woods is gonna come to life. We're gonna have basically a Pink Floyd light show happening in the backyard here because there's glistening and glimmering happening from all the lights hitting these woods. Talk about a beautiful yard. This yard is just such a treat to work in, and our clients have already started to enhance the yard by bringing in a sod team to put in new fresh sod, and that's looking fantastic. I can see a couple plants getting planted here and there, but can you see how cool it's gonna be in a few years when they actually have a bunch of plants in here? They're growing up over the rocks, and it's just gonna make it feel like this was always here. And when we're building a pond for you, one of the things we're always trying to think about is how do we make it the most interactive we can? We want you to interact with the water. We want you to come and look at it from different spots, be drawn to rocks you can stand on. Just just like this one. It's another great standing rock. And you can see our intake bay is doing its job. The clients have done a great job of taking care of this. I'm honored to come back and see how good this is looking because we have that nice crystal clear water. And then remember, no matter where that water is touching the rock, we're always gonna get a little discoloration, especially in a pond. But what you can do is you can see all the way to the bottom. It's a 3.5 foot deep pond, and you can count the gravel on the bottom of that. Our team did an excellent job of hiding this intake bay. This is a humongous area, but we choked it in with rock work, and we really made sure that the water was pulling all the debris that might land on the surface into this intake bay. That's what's so cool about the intake bay. It's gonna replace the skimmer. So what you're gonna do is you'll have a little pool net or a pond net like they have over here, and you'll just take your net, scoop out the leaves, dump them in the woods, and that's all there is to taking care of it. You don't have to go down and open up the fake rock lid, pull out the basket. You don't have to get on your hands and knees. You just use a nice long net like that, and it makes like maintenance relatively easy. The other thing I love about this project is they have an auto dosing system and the ion gen. So we set them up to make sure that this was as easy to maintain as possible. One thing that's really jumping out at me that the client has already done is he worked this moss in. So he went through his own woods, grabbed a bunch of moss, and then worked it in between this pathway. In a couple years, that's gonna look so awesome when that moss has kind of grown and filled in the space. But another thing that I absolutely get excited by is whenever we can have a bridge on one of our ponds. So our client has this really cool bridge that he built, and it just screams, come and investigate this pond. It's a perfect archway, it's low profile, but it's easy to fit a couple people on it. And Emerson and I sat there and dangled our feet over the water. That was really fun. But when we're doing bridges, we're always trying to consider, like, how do we get you to want to cross that bridge, give you a reason to come over here? And the way we did that was we've got a waterfall on one side, so when you're standing here, you're standing over your own waterfall. And look at that humongous boulder we got worked into the side of the stream. That one is one of my favorites. It was very hard to put there. Again, it was right on the edge of the limit of what our machine could handle, but it's helping tell that story, right? The water's coming down, rushing through, it's hitting this humongous rock, and then the water's forced to turn back. Adam did a great job of kind of envisioning how to make sure that works. And as you can see, Brad plumbed all of that spheres, and they're working perfectly. Not only that, but they paid a lot of attention to making sure the slope was right, and you can't even tell that we had to slope the dirt. The sod is filled in such a way that it doesn't even look like we were really here. And then Sam did such a good job with detail work. Adam and I did a lot of these boulder placements, and then we relied on Brad, Sam, and Justin to come in and make sure that the quality was always gonna be there. And another thing that really jumps out to me is how Brad did the rapid section coming off of the waterfall area, really to help that water kind of turn and feel like it's coming through a natural waterway. So I really love the way that rapid section turned out. There's so much intrigue, there's so much noise coming from it, and we've just got some really cool boulders. We had some rain last night, and we've got a boulder that just has this perfect little dish to be a little water spot for birds to come and bathe, drink out of, and man, that turned out really cool. And then we've got so many water action happening with that waterfall there. It really looks like a natural rapids you would walk into as you're hiking up and down a river. And I love how we've got a little feeder stream happening on the left. A nice change of the flow rates. It's not falling too perfectly. It's looking really natural. I think the team did just a beautiful job with that. There's so many things here that are jumping out at me that just really excite me and resonate with me and get me really excited. As you've seen, we've been working with Boulder Dan for close to 10 years now. Boulder Dan helps us find the coolest rocks. He helps us find rocks that are unique, that have different characteristics, things that you wouldn't normally see, that a lot of builders don't like using for their retaining walls. But we like using it because it's a lot of what you might see as you're hiking through the woods and you come across a waterfall. I love the pitting in this rock. It's just such a unique rock to me. So again, we wanted to have some huge anchor rocks to really help tell why that water had to bounce and turn around. And then this top section, this one is probably my favorite top section here of the whole project. I mean, the project is just glorious, right? It turned out magnificent. When we look at what was here before we got here to what it is now, and just how much we changed the space, but still stayed within the same footprint, it is really fun to see. But what really excites me about this is I told Adam and Brad, why don't you guys take this top section and turn it into something really cool? This is the goals, this is what we're shooting for. And they did a just fabulous job of really taking this, making it their own, making it unique, yet making it still feel like something that Pond King Water Gardens would create for you. So we were all gelling as a team. And I had this rock in mind, but the way I thought it was gonna go was more turned to kind of go like this. And Adam said, no, I want it to kind of protrude out. And I'm glad he did that, because this is a spot that just, no matter where you're looking at, you're like, for whatever reason, you want to come stand on this rock. And when you're standing here, you've got two waterfalls coming to you. You've got a waterfall falling on the side, and it's making this excellent water motion turn around this rock. And then Adam and Brad did that waterfall together, and I think it's perfect because they had a little waterfall there before, but it goes right towards their master bedroom. So we wanted to make sure that when they're sitting in their master bedroom, they can open the windows first thing in the morning and get a good look at their own waterfall. But it's also throwing tons of sound at that main bedroom, so that's an awesome thing. And then the way they did this first waterfall coming off of our wetland filter really gets me pumped. Like, I really love the way that turned out, because we knew we were working with a 5,000 to 9,000 gallon an hour pump coming up here. It had a good amount of head pressure, and so we chose a pretty big rock for that. And the reason we did that was so that it could fall off of it like that. Not a perfect sheet, but falling in different ways so that it really feels something natural, and then it's bouncing off of that other rock, and you've got some really cool whitewater effects. Up top, we start everything with our wetland filter. We've got water percolating through gravel slowly, so that can act as a humongous biological filter. In there, we have millions of colonies of beneficial bacteria that are just slowly consuming any of the nutrients that would exist in this water. One of the things we always do with that, though, is we slow down the water coming up through our aqua blocks, and then we discharge any excess water over a aquascape spillway. So that makes it look like a natural spring. So we can make sure that our waterfalls still have the flow we want, but we're also making sure the wetland filter is slowed down just to the right amount so that we're really filtering the water the way we want. We've got a 4,000 to 7,000 gallon an hour pump feeding this small waterfall. So when everything's running total, we've probably got about 11,000, 12,000 gallons of water going through this whole stream. If you're looking to not have a second property and you really just want to do what our clients do here, open up your patio doors and walk out to your own private paradise, we would love the opportunity to create that paradise for you, because this is just the start. This is going to get better and better with time, and I would love to be able to have a chance to see this at night when the lights come on, because it's going to feel like a private resort. I can just imagine having a couple of camping chairs kind of placed throughout, some tiki torches around the border, the underwater lights on, and then plants growing nice and lush throughout this whole thing, because it's going to just pop. And it's gonna feel like you're in a miniature version of Hawaii, but it's your own backyard. You don't have to fight an airport. You don't have to fight traffic. You don't have a second property to take care of. You just walk out your own patio doors and boom, you're in this private refuge. And this is exactly what I wanna have at my own home. Something huge like this that just takes up tons of space, but that sound of that running water is not overbearing. It's nice, it's soothing, it's calming, but it is still ever present. So as soon as you get a little used to those low notes, the high notes start coming out, and vice versa. That's what's so cool about having so many things happening here. And the other thing I love about a water feature this big is there's so many spots to entertain, to just sit and gather. You can sit over here in a couple of chairs, you can sit on the patio, you can sit over on that swing, and there's always a different experience when you're doing that. You can easily entertain 50 to 100 people here, and everyone having different conversations, and yet never really getting bored, because there's always going to be something to do, something to interact with, something changing, something to look at. And that's one of the things that just gets me so, that's what I'm really passionate about when it comes to this job, because it's not just a job. Our clients become our friends. We get to come back and see something that we created with our hands and that we are very proud of. And we know that this is going to withstand the test of time because we have the right team of outstanding people, making sure that quality assurance is a huge part of what we do, making sure that every rock we place is placed with care, so that really, if there's ever any troubles, it's usually just a small low edge that we just fold up and then it's taken care of. I fully expect this to last 50 to 100 years, just because I know how much care we put into it, just because I know the team that built it and how outstanding those individuals are. And I am just in love with the way this turned out. It's hard to think of where to start to show it off, but we'll get the B-roll for you. So hopefully that's getting played over me talking so you can see different aspects of this water feature and the different things that I had to show off. Thank you so much for joining us. This is project number 4, and we've got a bunch more to show you. We're gonna be building all the way until snow flies this year, and it's just something we're very grateful for, because we really do love what we get to do for people, and that this is our job, and we've got outstanding team members that are ready to help you. From the moment you call our business line, which is 952-454-3101, you'll get a hold of our receptionist, Erica. That's actually my wife, and she is fantastic on the phone. Everybody that I've gone and met with on a consultation has just said how excellent she was, how helpful she was. And from the moment you first interact with us to the moment your water feature is in and years after, we want to be the outstanding team that you feel like you want to recommend to everybody else, because there's no one else in the local market like us, because we truly put our heart and soul into this. And we want to make sure that you have a water feature that you love, that you want to talk about, and that you want to recommend us to your family and friends, because this is really something special. And if you want to see this in person, we have to do a design service with you first. Once we've done that, made sure that we vetted you, then we can actually set up a time for you to come and see this in person. And then you're going to want to subscribe to our newsletter, because in our newsletter, we're going to be having dates coming up next year in the June, July, probably both months, doing a pond tour. So we want to invite you to some of the water features we've built to see them in person, because seeing it on video is one thing, but a water feature is meant to be felt. And all these negative ions that are getting thrown into the air is something you can feel the moment you come around the house and you see this water feature running. You hear it, and then you really start feeling what it's all about. I'm Nick the Pond King. We create living works of art like this, 1 yard at a time, and I'm so grateful you are tuning in. Thank you for the opportunity. To our clients, man, thanks for trusting us, because we are all so proud of the way this turned out. I can't wait to see what you do with it over time by doing more and more plantings. And if you need any help with plantings, we've got the right team to help you with that too. So with that being said, thank you so much. Tune in next week where we're building project number 5. It's a small pondless waterfall, but man, it has a humongous impact. So you're gonna wanna tune in with that. It's a good time to hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so that you don't miss anything, because next Thursday, we're gonna have something special for you with that small pondless waterfall. And then do me a favor, if you see something here that you really like, drop a comment for my team. Let them know, because our whole team is watching these videos. They're reading the comments, and they wanna hear from you guys. What can we do better? Maybe these videos are too long, maybe they're too short, maybe we're not showing off the right things. Let us know, because we're always wanting to make sure that this is enjoyable for you guys, the viewers, and really for our clients. Drop them a comment, because they take a lot of pride in their yard, and you can see just how much they care for this yard. And it's gonna be so fun to come back in 3 years for a revisiting series and really show off what they've done. Thanks, everybody. are, Pond King Water Gardens, where we create living works of art 1 yard at a time.